The key to being a successful game developer is pretty simple. Develop games and release games. Hey, I'm Pascal from Orangepixel and welcome to another video. So the last couple of years didn't really go as they should have. I did videos about that. Thanks for all the feedback, comments and everything on those videos. However, this year I need to change things around. So I've been working like a madman on so many different projects and things all at once, all with the goal of actually releasing games. So right now it's Friday afternoon and I haven't touched any game code because the second tip of being a successful game developer, the business side of things, is probably the most important part. It's cool that you can create games, but if nobody's gonna buy it and nobody knows it and the game isn't available anywhere, then you're kind of just doing a hobby. So let me talk you through some of the things I've been working on because it's a lot. Trust me, it's a lot. So make yourself comfortable. We're gonna dive through a bunch of things. For those that have been on the Discord, you've probably noticed me doing so many things. Space Grunts 3, my new game that I'm working on. I talked about it last week or the week before that. I'm still on track. I think I can actually have a demo available by the end of January, and I might put it in Next Fest in end of February. I'm already signed up. I can always get out of that even the day before the fest starts. We'll see. If it feels right, I'll release it in Next Fest. If it doesn't feel good enough, there's not enough content, I'll have to wait until June, which is very long if you need a new game to be released. But it feels like I'm on track and everything is coming together. So that's a good thing, because that also means I could focus a little bit here and there on other projects. First things first, my mobile games have sunk, revenue have sunk. I mentioned that in the end of the year video a few weeks ago. Last year, the revenue that came in for mobile was like a third of what it was the year before. And I don't release just on Google Play, but there are many app stores out there and other avenues. And if you have the contacts, and that's part of the business, you need the right contacts to get on certain markets. But however, something went wrong and that revenue dried. Well, it didn't dry up, but it was very close to drying up. There was just, instead of a whole ocean, maybe just a glass of water left. And that's not as much water as I wanted. And I'm talking about revenue, not water. Let's get to the point. I decided to contact them and see what was going on. And I kind of expected this to be an Android OS version problem. Google made it a rule that newer Android versions, because of security and all those things, you need to target newer Android versions, else your Android app will not be installable on new Android operating system versions. Anyway, I asked if that was the problem and I got an email back in like a day telling me, indeed, I thought we contacted all developers, but I guess we forgot to contact you. Here's a list of a couple of games of yours, all my games, that aren't available anymore. I decided to update all of them. And I already had new builds of all my games because I had them on Google Play. I just never sent them to them. I never thought about it. And being in the phase I was last year, I wasn't really up for any communication or things like that. I avoided people as much as possible. So I didn't reach out to for little silly things like this. Now I did. So I now have new builds for them. I decided to also look at the Amazon App Store. Had a couple of games there, but most of them haven't been updated for 10 years. So most of them actually weren't alive anymore. I still get payments from Amazon, even for 25 cents each month. And that probably costs me more in bank and accounting costs than it's worth. Anyway, I decided to upload all my new versions to Amazon as well. They're now currently testing it. Some of the games got approved, some of the games didn't. Have to figure out. For some of the games I got a little video of the tester who was testing it, and they were trying to play with a TV remote. A little miscommunication. I never designed the game to work with a TV remote. Probably checked the box on certain Amazon TV devices that only have a TV remote available. So I decided to just remove all the TV devices, just a couple of them anyway, and just focus on all the mobile devices. They have more than 100 supported, more than 200 I think. So we'll see if it actually makes money. However, seeing as I now had all these versions available, I also went onto the Samsung Galaxy App Store, started uploading all my games there as well. They are now also in testing. That's what I've been doing on my Friday and my Thursday. And it's very boring work, but this is really where the money comes from, even if it's gonna be very little amounts. All these little app stores hopefully make up an interesting amount of money in the rest of this year. We'll see, we'll find out, I don't know, had to be done. And that's not where my fun stops this week. Gauntlet of Power, my latest game. We now have a Switch version. It's up and running, testing the last couple of things, and all the interface, everything is up and running and working perfectly. We squashed out a lot of bugs. Serious Lion, of course, doing most of the work, while I'll point him to where the bugs are and where they are most likely to be fixed. Just have to play test it right now. I'm not expecting many weird things, but it could be that it crashes on certain things, so I have to just go through it a couple of times, and then we're good to go. And that also means for the Atari VCS. Yes, this is an actual thing. Not many people seem to know about. I keep getting people's comments that they didn't know there was an Atari. There is a new kickstarted Atari VCS. Now underneath all of this is just a Linux PC running a custom operating system. Doesn't matter, it's an Atari VCS console, and to get games on there, it's a new app store. There's a different app store. So we also have a Gauntlet of Power version up and running on the VCS. Ready to go, but it's the same version as the Switch. So I first have to play test it on the Switch. As long as it doesn't crash on weird game logic, it should also be fine to go on VCS because it's the same game logic. Now, while playing on the VCS for Gauntlet of Power, there was another game that wasn't released yet, Sir Questionnaire. We released it on Switch, I think in February last year. For some reason that we both don't know or remember, we never released it on the Atari. So that version is now, I've just submitted it to Atari for lot checking or whatever they want to call it, staging I think they call it. They're going to play test the game a little bit. If it functions, if it runs, it's good to go, and it might actually release at the end of this month or maybe February, but it's going to launch in a couple of weeks from now. So that's another release that's already planned and scheduled. Like I said at the beginning of the video, it's all about releasing games on different hardware, on different systems, on everywhere you can. So one game is already ready to go, and the Gauntlet of Power it's not gonna take much longer. I think I want to submit it to Nintendo next week, and then we have probably at least a month, but little more, before we can release it. So Switch version probably in March. That would be pretty cool to have. That would mean VCS version also probably in March. Pretty cool. So next Tuesday for me, last Tuesday for you, I also had a meeting with another company that is maybe able to get my PC versions, my PC games, released to different markets and stores. Just like my mobile games are on different stores, there's a lot more out there for PC, but it's not interesting or very hard to maintain all that if you're just one person. Also, it's a numbers game, so if you have a lot more games on the store, which they have combined with my games and other games, you can do more. You can do certain deals and other things and discounts and cross-promote, all that stuff. So gonna talk with them, see what comes out of it. No idea, going in blank can only be a good thing. And if it's not a good thing, I can say no. I know he's sometimes or often watching my videos. Hey, Christopher, not sure how our meeting went last Tuesday. For me, coming Tuesday, I hope it's a good meeting. So as you can imagine, I'm just working on so many things, and I'm trying to release my games in so many places. And really, there are two things most valuable in my company. My time, because that's how I create these games, but also all the games I've made so far. They should be making money for me so that I can keep working on new games. And I dropped the ball on that a little bit in the last 2 years, and I'm trying to make up for that right now. Hopefully it will all work out and everything will bring in a little bit of money here and there, because then we can keep making new games. And then I can also have some fun for side projects like my Portal, which I mentioned last week. Been working on that as well. Now, I talked about the Portal last week, so check last week's video. Since then, I have actually put some of the free games available to play right now. They're still a little buggy here and there. They can be improved. Mostly just tested on Chrome browser. So if you use another browser, you might run into issues. I'm not sure. But so far, there are some free games and people have been playing them. Check it out. Don't all check it out at once because I'm not really sure what that does to my website. I haven't tried that either. So maybe we should all jump on it right now. And that might cause my website to go down. One of the things I have to figure out eventually, because there's a lot of things I haven't figured out for the portal at all. I'm also looking at the Patreon page because I keep getting questions from people. Do you have a Patreon so we can support you? I used to have one. I think I ended it 3 years ago or something like that. For the simple reason that people were Patreon and money came in every month, but I didn't feel like I was giving back enough. And I looked at other game developers, how they do it, and I think they have the same problem. Although they might not have a problem with it, but they have a Patreon, but they're not really posting stuff or doing a lot with it. So I looked at many different options. And I think my Patreon linked to this portal could somehow work. Because you'll be able to sign in using your Patreon. You'll be a member depending on your level of your the Patreon. And based on that, you can play all the membership games and even some pre-alpha or whatever I'm gonna call it, like Space Grunt 3 is now on the portal, only playable at the highest level, which currently is just me. But things like that. So right now, the portal is a preservation type thing. I'm trying to preserve my older games because at some point I cannot update them for Android or iOS or Steam or whatever, or some of these games are not on Steam because I would have to pay $100 to get them on Steam, and I know I would never make that money back because it's such old games. They don't really belong on Steam in that sense, but they do belong on my website and playable for people that are into Orangepixel, into my videos, all that stuff. I want those games on there, and as a patron, you'd get access to it. So all this time that I've been talking about the portal, all these weeks, I've been trying to wrap my head around it. Is the portal the main thing that has Patreon attached to it, or is Patreon the main thing that has a portal with games attached to it? Still trying to find that balance. The Patreon page, I've been working on it. It's not live yet. I'll put it live at some point. There will be more games available. It's just a side thing that I'm doing in the evenings, on the Sunday afternoon. I'm just tinkering with these little things. No idea where it goes, where it leads, but I'm working on it anyway. We'll see. I even started a little toy project, like a little racing game. I don't know. I have a couple of ideas for this. Worst case, I don't use this. It might go up on the portal just as a toy, maybe with the source code attached to it. But I can also use this code for maybe a new Ash World, which also had driving in there. And a lot of other things. I don't know. It's pretty cool just to play around with this. I have some ideas and we'll see where it ends. But I really want to do little things like this on this YouTube channel as well. I want to somehow develop games like this with you guys, and maybe even give out the source code, because this one is written in JavaScript. It's very easy. You don't need a lot of tools or complicated things for it. Just a free browser that already everybody owns. A little tool that makes you run local host type files so that you can run it in your browser. And a text editor would be enough to go through the code, change some things here and there, and have your own version of a game. That's how I learned programming, by taking people's code, which was then printed in books, or I couldn't download it because there was no internet. Other people's code were listings in magazines. You would type all that stuff in your computer, and then would modify and change values just to see what it does. What if the player suddenly has more power when you press left but less when you press right, or more when you jump, or when you... all those little things. I still think that doing it like that teaches you how to create games, the basics of games, and not use an engine that does everything for you. Learn the basics, and then you can always move over to an engine at some point. It would be cool to do this on the YouTube channel. However, I started all this on a Sunday afternoon, sitting on my couch, watching a movie or TV show at the same time. Not really the setting to record a video in. So I have to figure out how I'll do that, so I can actually turn this into videos and interesting content for people wanting to learn how to do game development. Something to figure out as well during the next couple of months in this year, I guess. So many things, so many projects, it's a lot. So I've been pushing myself, doing all these business things that you rather not do, but they are the most important part of doing this full time and turning it into a business. Creating games is the most fun thing there is, but if nobody sees your game, or it's not out there and it's not on enough places, you're not gonna be doing it very long. Okay, so I think this still turned into a game developer tip video, which I don't want to make because there's a lot of stuff like this on YouTube. So ignore that this is a tip. This is just me rambling, and it was a lot of rambling. Let's make that this week's keyword. If you have nothing to comment, but you want to show your appreciations for the videos I make, rambling. Put rambling in the comments below. Let me hear back all that rambling. I've been rambling a lot in this video. Just so many things I wanted to dump in here because I've been working on so many things. So put rambling in the comments below if you're one of those idle watchers and you want to show your appreciation, and let me know that you watched it up to this point. Rambling, rambles, rambler, ramble, lamble, doodoo. Put it in the comments below. Of course, if you have more interesting stuff to add to the comments below, do that as well. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!